Good afternoon, Danvers, and welcome to a special meeting of the Danvers School Committee. Today is December 20th, 2022. As a preliminary matter, my name is Eric Crane. I am the chairman of the school committee. I want to confirm that all members and persons who are anticipated to be on the agenda are present and can hear me. So I'm going to ask you to identify yourselves. Actually, I'll go down the line. So school committee members, Josh Kepner.
Yep, present
Here.
here.
Alice Campbell. You on mute, Alice?
I am.
All right.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Gabe Lopes.
Here.
Robin Doherty.
Here.
And I'm going to confirm staff who are present. Mary Wormers.
Here.
Pamela Ames. Probably
She
on,
said here. I could hear her
Okay.
from my office.
and Adam Federico.
Present.
And thank you. And one other person who we expect to be speaking is Dorothy Presser. You are present?
I am present.
All right, thank you. All right. So good afternoon. This is an open meeting of the Danvers School Committee. It's being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, which was enacted due to the then current state of emergency in the Commonwealth, but has not been changed. The order is still in effect. The order, which you can find posted generally with agenda materials, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. That's why this meeting is being broadcast on DCAT. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Danvers School Committee is convening remotely via WebEx, as opposed to the town's website as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that the meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. We don't have any particular materials for this meeting. The ground rules are such that I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment or questions or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. And please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. We have established an email. I don't know if we have an email address for public comment today, Mary. I don't know if we do.
It is info@danvers.org.
Okay, thank you. And finally, each vote will be taken, if we take any votes, will be conducted by a roll call vote. So with that, let me just get back to the meeting. And this purpose of this special meeting is that we are pleased to be able to announce the 3 finalists for the superintendent's position for the Danvers Public Schools. And so I'm going to turn it over to the chair of our subcommittee, Robin Doherty, who has worked so hard, along with Alice Campbell, who have both worked very hard, and with the screening committee to screen everybody who applied and now have some recommendations for us. So Robin, with that, as chair of the subcommittee, if you want to take it away.
Sure. So first, I just want to publicly thank everyone that was on the committee. So we have Ted Blake, Martha Jankitis, Mary Wormers, Kathleen Murphy, Nicole Damagella. Mary, I might have said that wrong, so correct me.
Damagella. Yeah.
Thank you. Paula Morris, Heather Carnavale, Shannon Chan, Susie Soldani, Chris Forrest, and Matt Hannes. So we had our last meeting last night where we decided on the 3 finalists to bring forward. It was a very It was very collaborative. It was very honest. We were very transparent with each other. It was a very tough decision. And I'm going to have Dorothy Presser from MASC present the finalists and share a little bit more information about who they are.
Okay, thank you, Robin. So as Robin said, there were 3 finalists. The screening committee went through 16 applications for the position and interviewed 7 of the applicants for the position in a very intense week last week. As Robin said, decided to send 3 finalists forward to the school committee. And in alphabetical order, the first finalist is Daniel Bauer. Daniel is currently the principal of Marblehead High School, where he's been since 2016. Prior to that, he served as assistant principal at Beverly High School for 10 years, and he also taught social studies at Masconomet for 5 years. Mr. Bauer is a doctoral candidate at Northeastern, seeking a degree in curriculum teaching and leadership. He holds a master's in organizational management from Endicott College and a master's in teaching from Tufts. Mr. Bauer attended the University of Pennsylvania as an undergraduate and has a bachelor's degree in sociology. The second finalist is Jeff Bruno. Jeff, since July of 2021, Mr. Bruno has served as the superintendent in Scarborough, Maine. Prior to that, he was superintendent in Falmouth, Maine for 7 years. He's worked in Massachusetts as well, serving for 2 years as director of curriculum and instruction in Saugus and 3 years as principal of the Belmont Middle School in Saugus. He's also served as principal of Georgetown Middle School and assistant principal of Hopkinton Middle School, as well as head of school at the Community Day Charter School in Lawrence. He's taught at the high school level. He's taught science and mathematics. Mr. Bruno is also a doctoral candidate at the University of Maine. He holds a master's in educational leadership from Boston University and a bachelor's degree in government from Wesleyan University. And finally, again in alphabetical order, the final candidate is Peter Cushing. Dr. Cushing is currently an assistant superintendent in the Medford Public Schools, where he's been since 2019. Prior to that, he served as high school principal in Webster for a year and middle school principal in Narragansett Regional School District for 7 years. He was also a high school vice principal in Narragansett for 3 years. Dr. Cushing was a high school history teacher in Arlington Public Schools and taught various subjects in the Lynn Public Schools for 4 years as well. Dr. Cushing holds a doctorate in education and a master's in education from Boston College, as well as a Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Anselm's College. And those are your 3 finalists.
Thank you, Dorothy, very much. We are working also on a press release that we'll send out with a little bit more information about who they are. And we do want to just share with the public that we originally were going to do site visits the week of January 16th. We have moved those to the week of January 9th. So what that will look like in Eric, I don't know if that's something you want to talk more about today, but what that will look like is a finalist will visit the district each day. So there'll be like 3 separate visits, and each day the finalists will sit down probably with people from central office, principals. They will visit some of the schools. There'll be opportunities for staff to come later and meet them. There'll be opportunities for community members and families. And then we would have to do another public separate interview in front of the school committee.
Okay.
So
One question, will there be time built into their schedule to meet with other town leaders, town manager, all of that? Okay, good.
we haven't decided like what the days are the week of the 9th or exactly the
Sure.
times.
Yep.
Because I think we have to kind of decide that together.
Okay, yep. I mean, basically it makes perfect sense to move with some alacrity here, because obviously there's going to be competition for good candidates. And I have every faith that you and Alice and Dorothy and the team, Mary, everyone who's on that screening committee have identified some good potential candidates. And so, yes, we want to move quickly, make the right decision, but also, with some alacrity if we can. Yeah. So, Alice, any comments, thoughts?
No, just echoing what Robin had shared in the beginning. I was very impressed by the collaboration from the selection committee. I think we really had open, honest conversations with one another. We reviewed candidates that came from many different backgrounds, and I'm confident in each of the three candidates that we have selected, which all members of the selection committee are feeling as well. So I'm really just excited about the future right now.
Good, good, thank you. Let me take some comments from the rest of the school committee. Josh, if you have anything that you want to say or add, feel free right now.
Oh, Eric, I have one thing that I forgot to add. So there will be extensive reference checks for
Okay.
each of the finalists. So we can talk about if that's something like we want to divvy up who we're going to call. But it's not just like they're gonna come to the district and that's like how we decide, because we need to do, you know, obviously our homework. And
Okay, sure. Whoop, you're on mute.
sorry, I said, obviously we have to do our homework, and only Alice and I have met them, and that was only for an hour. So.
Okay. All right, Josh.
Yeah, everybody, just a quick question on the procedural. So first of all, thanks for all the hard work that went into the selection committee. And Alice and Robin, I know there was a heavy lift on your end, but just talk to me a little bit about the site visits. Who's going to be asked to be going on the site visits? Is that the selection committee? Is that the school committee? And then how does that fit into the interviews? Does that happen first, or procedurally, how does that work?
So, and Dorothy, you can chime in at any time if I'm missing something. So they'll most likely, because we have to set the schedule, but most likely the finalist will come to the school, meet with Mary, let's say first, some members of central office. You know, the hub will most likely be at Danvers High, so I'm sure they'll be meeting Adam in the morning and the assistant principals. There'll be opportunities for the finalists to walk around Danvers High, and then we're going to the middle school. And then we'll have to decide which other elementaries, because I don't know if there'd be time in the day for them to visit all 5. So what we were thinking is after school gets out, and they'll be able to interact with like the students also, and, you know, teachers, paraprofessionals, secretaries, once the custodians, like everyone who works there. Once the schools are out, we would have an opportunity for staff who have not been able to meet the finalist, or who maybe want to ask a little bit more questions. We'll have like a hub, which again will most likely be DHS, where there'll be time for that. And then later in the day, there'll be time for just like families and community members. I think we'll have to decide when we want to build in like the town manager, if that would be during the day or if that's going to be more late afternoon. Then we usually would give them like a dinner break, and we probably would we would interview them as a school committee probably around like 6 or 7.
So Josh, if you're asking about a visit to the candidates district, I wasn't clear.
Yeah, but yeah, I was, but that was super helpful to hear that as well. But
so, so that sometimes school committees do that, and sometimes they concentrate more on doing extensive reference checks, because basically when you go to a candidates district, that's what it is, an extensive reference check, where the candidates are selecting who you talk to. So I think that in discussing the ability to compact the timeline because of the competition, that we're looking more in a direction of doing those extensive reference checks rather than having a visit to the district. And I can say honestly that the candidates were very appreciative of hearing that, because it is very disruptive to the district on the day that those site visits sometimes happen. So you can talk to all the same people. You just won't do it by sitting in a room all day in the district and sort of touring around the district. Does that make sense?
it totally does. Yep, that's very helpful. Thanks, Dorothy.
All right. Anything else? Okay, Josh, you all set?
I'm good. Thank you, Eric.
Gabe, you're up, sir.
Hey, question. When will we see packets on these individuals in regards to the information that they shared with you and the tools you use to evaluate them? And specifically, when is the dedicated, well, the school committee, it sounds like we're going to interview them publicly. Are or, I mean, is there going to be a packet around that in regards to like questions? Will we see the type of answers that they've given before? I'm just looking for some kind of visibility into the process.
So I mean, everything was an executive session, so we can't share, what was said. We will decide what questions we want to ask them as a school committee. We will decide that because obviously we're going to have additional questions to ask them. I don't know, Dorothy, if we can share the questions. I know we can't share
So
the answers.
Yep, we can share the questions that were asked of the candidates,
Okay,
but not the individual candidates' answers. And yes, you will get a full packet of information about the candidates. The only part of their application package that's actually public, public record is their resume, but the school committee can receive the entire packet.
Okay.
Thank you.
So from a school committee standpoint, Robin and Dorothy and Alice, it seems to me that number one, we've got to decide how we're going to conduct the background checks, who's going to call the references. And one thought, and I think Robin had shared this with me on a call, is, do we want Josh, Gabe, and myself to each take one of the candidates and check their references simply because we haven't had any chance to meet or talk to any of the candidates, whereas Alice and Robin have had that opportunity. My only thought about that is how then can Josh, Gabe, and I share reference checks with each other without running afoul of the open meeting law?
May I step in?
Please, yes.
So the summary of the reference checks that you do would have to be shared in public.
Okay.
The other thing I would add is that now that, take a step back. If you are going to the district,
Mhm.
I would say to the candidates, the school committee would like to talk to this slate of people. They'd like to talk to your superintendent, if they're not a superintendent. They'd like to talk to some teachers. They'd like to talk to so forth and so on. You are not limited at this point, because the names are public, just to the references they put down in their packet. I can help you coordinate if you would like to talk to some teachers, if you would like to talk to the superintendent. I can help you coordinate getting all the contact information for the variety of people that you might want to talk to. And then if you happen to know other people that may know them, you're not limited just to the people that they tell you to talk to,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
I may have asked question 2 first. So the question for the rest of the school committee is, do we want to do site visits, or do we want to do the sort of background check without going into the actual districts?
May I just add one of the things that I found particularly useful during our period of having to do everything remotely
Mhm.
is that candidates were more able to bring in people or have school committee members talk to people who weren't necessarily in the district that they work for right now. For instance, Jeff Bruno right now is in Scarborough, but he has a history in Falmouth. So being able to talk to people, it's easier if you're not doing the site visits, I think, to be able to talk to some of those people that might not be right at the site.
Okay. All right. So again, comments from, my preference is to not do the site visits to their districts. I think it's more productive use of our time to make remote contacts to their references and maybe more people in their district versus trying to do it at the location. I don't know how Josh or Gabe feel about it.
I would agree with that, Eric. I think if we could do it, the one hole that I do see is that, to your earlier point, Eric, is if you did a reference check and then Gabe did a reference check and I did one, maybe I might be, or I don't want to say me, but let's say, Eric, you're a much stronger person to do reference checks than myself, right? Or you might ask better questions than I do or something. How do we have that on the same playing field? So I'd love to see some sort of a check or balance on that. If we could have two of us do one, and if we're not violating at the open meeting laws. So let's say Gabe and myself did one reference check for Jeff, or whatever the situation would be, that we would at least have two sets of eyes on one of the reference
Okay.
checks.
Dorothy, how many references do each candidate typically have? Are we talking 5? Are we talking 10? Oh,
You're
you're
on
muted.
mute, Dorothy.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I would say somewhere in between, actually.
Okay.
I think, particularly for the two candidates that are not superintendents, you will most certainly want to talk to their superintendent,
Mhm.
as well as some of their colleagues. For all of them, I think you want to be able to talk to colleagues. You want to be able to talk to people who work for them. And I think for all of them, you would probably want to be able to talk to parents as well. And maybe some community members that they, if there's town or city people that they work with on a regular basis. The same way Eric said, will they be able to talk to the town people in Danvers? You might want to have that same sort of conversation. And I mean, you could, to Josh's point, I think if, particularly for some of those key people, I don't think there's anything wrong with having two people. It would be hard to have a quorum, but you could certainly have two people that were listening to a conversation, say with the superintendent or someone like that. And then maybe sort of do a bit of divide and conquer on some of the other ones.
Okay. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, I mean, and we can work together too to develop the types of questions to be asked during these
Right.
reference checks as well. Exactly, right? So each reference would get similar questions, if not, okay.
I can give you some suggestions if that's helpful.
Yes, I would say so. Yep. All right, so we're gonna have to think about the logistics of that, and who's gonna do what.
And we don't have their references
Yet. Right?
yet, correct, Dorothy? We have 3 that were listed on the application. But now these candidates will have an additional opportunity to provide additional, okay. And we could provide them direction in terms of, we would like to speak with a parent, a community, whatever. Okay, great.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. So who is best, do you think, to coordinate that piece of it in terms of requesting the references from them and who we're looking for? Would that be something you can help us with, Dorothy, or work with Robin and Alice?
Absolutely.
Are you okay with that, Alice?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that. Why don't Robin and I continue perhaps this work with Dorothy, where now we'll work with her in terms of agreeing on the types of references and perhaps agreeing on some of those leading questions that we'll be asking as a starter. Does that work for everyone?
Okay, so if that's the key, yeah, because that way Josh and Gabe and I can sort of be the boots on the ground once you're ready to start talking to people and making calls and you have a list of who we're going to talk to. We can jump in and help out with that and split the labor 5 ways. So,
Yep.
or maybe 3 ways actually. All right, I think that makes sense. And we know we'll do the visits / interviews the week of the 9th. Let's see. Is there
Can I-
anything? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
Rob.
so Dorothy mentioned that there are 2 different ways we could do the interview. So like, we're gonna have them come, we're gonna have each finalist comes a different day because they're not all gonna come the same day. So I'm saying hypothetically, let's say one came Monday, one came Tuesday, one came Wednesday.
Mhm.
We need to decide if, as a school committee, if each night we only want to interview one, or if like we'd all want to bring them back on Thursday night and have like an interview for like 3.5 hours straight, where we'd be interviewing them one after the other. Dorothy has suggested one a night, like the day that they're actually on site.
Mhm.
But I know that's also asking, the school committee to commit to 3 nights. So I don't know. And we might want to talk about, Eric, technically we have our January school committee, January 9th. I don't know if we want to push that back because we're focusing on, you know, that, I don't know. So I guess we have to decide that.
I think it makes sense to move, I do, and others can weigh in, but I think it makes sense to move the January meeting until the 16th.
Be the week after, because that's
After,
MLK Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because MLK is the 16th. So
Yeah.
last year we met after MLK Day. So we met like, I think it was like in the 24th, last January.
Oh, that's
instead
right,
of
because it will be,
before,
16th
yeah.
will be MLK, right?
Mhm.
All right, I mean, again, I don't think there's anything so pressing that we can't put the regular meeting off until the 23rd, I guess it would be. How do others feel, please?
I'm just looking at my calendar to lock that up.
You have
Don't-
nothing to do that week, Gabe. You're free every night.
Yeah, exactly. No, the school committee meeting the following week is not a problem. I'm just concerned about the 3 days, the first week, because I won't be able to do consecutive days. I could do the week of the 9th. If we do the 9th as a replacement for the school committee meeting, that works perfectly. And then if no one else has any issues with it, for me, it would be the 9th, 11th, and 12th.
So Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
Yep.
That's fine with me. Does that work for, I mean, Mary, is it work for you too and Adam and then the other school committee members?
It would work for me. I can't speak for. Okay, Adam says yes. Alice, are you good with that?
I can make it work.
Okay,
Actually, that works perfectly because there's the elementary community conversations that will happen on
Perfect on the
January
Wednesday.
10th. So that helps Gabe. Thank you. It
Done.
helps skip that day and we'll be able to hold that still.
and having done this before, I do think that trying to do multiple interviews in a single night is not the way to go. I think that you sort of lose your edge. It can be an intense process. You're doing a lot of questioning and listening, and hopefully more listening. But yeah, I don't think it's productive to try and jam, certainly not 3 into one night, and I even have reservations about 2. So I do like the idea of doing 1 a night.
Hey, Eric, I have, just to let you, I'm available that week of the 9th that we were just discussing, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, if we wanted to do that for the interviews. But I do have a conflict on that. If we did shift that, the school committee meeting to the 23rd, I'm unavailable 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
Okay.
Can we do it, like, Josh, could you do it remotely or no?
No, I'm not going to be available.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so we can still, so you're not available the 23rd, 24th, 25th, did you say?
Correct.
Okay, so let's think about this. Well, how does the 17th or 18th look to people? It doesn't have to be a Monday night.
It's fine with me.
I won't be in town. I'm not sure if I can do it remote yet.
Okay,
We have a professional school committee.
are you gone that whole week or are you?
Yeah, I'm literally out of town for sales kickoff.
Well, 4 is a quorum, so we pretty much may have to pick a day that will work for 4 of us, and if the 5th person can attend remotely, that's great. If not, you'll be given a pass. I'll write you up an excused absence. So.
I mean,
You
I
want-
know the timing of the 9th is like not ideal because we already have the school committee planned for that night. I just, the concern is if we push it back,
Yeah.
someone might get scooped up and that would be really unfortunate.
Oh.
So as much
No,
as,
that's fair.
yeah, like as much as like, I want to be like, everyone come to the school committee. I'm like, no, like the school committee needs to make sure first we get this.
Yeah. Yeah.
this
Yeah,
super-
I think
Go
what,
ahead.
yeah, I mean, I think it's important for all of us to know that there's multiple districts right now that are searching for a superintendent.
Here's a question. Is there an opportunity to interact with the candidates during their visits? I mean, I just don't want to see them across the table. I'd love to see how they interact during the visits with other people.
Yeah, I mean, Gabe, I think that depends on what you as like a school committee, your flexibility is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be able to do that, but like, if you have, I mean, you work from home a lot. So yeah, if you needed to stop, like, yes, yes.
Yeah, like
Well,
not for the
yeah.
whole day,
Yes.
pop
Yeah.
in and see how.
So generally, we suggest that, man, if you can make it to the community meet and greet, that would be great. There are other interactions where we think maybe the school committee needs to step aside and let other people have conversations without school committee members sitting there. But we can work that all out as we go along.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So I think at the moment we will acknowledge that we're going to move the school committee meeting, regular school committee meeting from the 9th to another convenient date in January. And we'll try and look for the best date we can find that works for at least 4 of us. And we'll do our best. I honestly think it's important that we move ahead with the superintendent piece first. Absolutely. All right, so school committee. All right, is there anything else from a planning standpoint that that we need? I would assume that, there will be the logistics of, greeting the candidates and.
Well, on those
Right.
days, I
Yep.
mean, are we meeting right at the normal 7 o'clock time, or are we pushing it back to like 6 or something earlier?
Can I suggest leaving it at 7? To
Okay,
allow a time for them to meet as many people and throughout the day as they can. And then maybe have a little break for dinner before.
well, I was
Before
going to
they-
say in the last superintendent search, what we did was when on the day a candidate was being interviewed, we basically had the subcommittee meet them and take them out to get a bite to eat before their interview, just as you're talking about.
Oh, I may have a conflict that week as well,
In the evening?
January 9th to the 13th. I looked at the week wrong. The following week, I'm actually leaving from the 11th to the 13th, back on the following week.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we really,
I don't know if we can separate like the candidates that are super, hot that like earlier in the week. Oh, this is a tough one. It's a tough one because the schedule kind of worked its way around this originally.
So I think a couple of districts are going to be announcing it the following week. And we don't know if in the meantime, like another one might be, scooped up as a finalist. And it's kind of like when they're like, once they're like chosen, like you accept it. So it's not like, oh, I'll give you 48 hours.
Is the first week of January, and is that too soon, or are we out? No, we're
Yeah,
back now.
we were recommended not to do that to the schools. So to do that to our own team, our own central office team and families, teachers, all that.
plus I would suspect that much of a compression would make it very difficult for us to do background checks and get all of that work done before.
Could I suggest that, could we, rather than do 3 people in one night, could we maybe do 2 people in one night? If we did one person on, Gabriel, you suggesting you might be available on the 9th and 10th? Or is that whole week cooked?
I'm pretty cooked. I can do the 9th, can't do the 10th.
Okay.
I guess I would ask Mary, how would you feel about the end of the week before? We're trying to avoid the first week back as not a great week to be having a lot going on in the district that was extraordinary.
Let me look back at the calendar and see what.
So we're talking the 4th, 5th, or 6th.
Yeah. Well, the
4th
fourth
and
would be
5th.
difficult. I think the 3rd and 4th are out because it's just too soon back and early.
How
to
about the
leave.
5th?
Yeah. I don't know. Adam, what do you think? Friday, we could do
Yeah, I
Thursday.
mean, I guess I think I would want us to be competitive. you know,
Yeah.
and I think we can make, you know, we're pretty used to making pretty much everything work. So, you know, I'd want us to be out in front and be as aggressive as we can so we can, you know, get the right candidate. So we can do it.
Maybe Thursday, Friday, Monday with that.
So we
I-
would be interviewing one of them on Friday night? Or two one night?
I would say Thursday, Friday, and Monday.
So at 7 both nights, right? Or each night, rather, 3 nights.
Very nice. And I know it's, you know, none of us love to meet on Friday night, but, you know, duty calls.
Do they have an option in this as well?
Well,
Yeah,
I
mean,
did
we
ask,
could debate
I
this.
did ask all of them about their schedule the week of the 9th, because that's what we were talking about. So I'd have to go back and find out about the Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
It's the will of the board here.
How about Thursday, Monday, Tuesday? And I can probably make that work.
So Thursday, the,
The week
Fifth.
before,
Fifth.
that's Thursday's the 5th. And then the 9th and 10th.
That
The
would
10th
be-
we
Oh,
have
no,
that
the
commu-
10th for
the
me, I
commu-
can't.
Yeah, the community learning, but if we do it earlier than 7 PM. But then we know, yeah.
Well, if we do it, then the 5th and the 6th, we don't need the 10th. We just need the 9th. Correct?
that would seem like the case, but, you know, literally, is everybody available on the 6th without, you know, I don't know, selling concert tickets? Like, you know, I know
I
that's.
mean, I know Friday stinks, but it's one Friday. We did have to meet for masks one Friday.
I'm with you. I'm with
Oh,
you.
I could. I thought I heard that Friday was
Nope.
no go. I can make Friday work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That'll work for me.
Me too. So the 5th, the 6th, and the 9th.
Mhm.
And
Okay,
this is just pending the candidate's availability, I'm assuming.
right.
All right.
All right, so I guess then the quicker we can get the list of people to talk to or potential categories of people to talk to, the better, yeah.
I know.
All
It's just
right.
that people could be on the holiday break, so you're probably gonna have to wait till the 3rd and 4th to.
No, true. So who is going to, are you going to talk to the candidates about those dates, Dorothy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then Dorothy, we don't have to have references done by a certain date, correct? Like we
Oh,
can,
well, you'd have to have them done by whatever date you decide you're going to deliberate and make a decision.
okay, so that's when they would need to be. So should we pick that date too, considering?
So might I,
schedule?
if you feel comfortable doing it, it's always best to make the decision when everything is freshest in your mind. A typical pattern is to have the interview on the 9th, take a brief recess, come back, deliberate, and make a decision.
On the 9th,
Yes.
okay?
That works. So then all references need to be checked by the 9th.
By the 9th.
So that means Josh, Eric, and Gabe, that's a lot of references to do that week of January 2nd.
Well, can we get them sooner? I mean, not
Ooh.
that we're going to call over Christmas, but I mean, just because school is closed, does that mean a reference would not be available?
I would say probably 85% of them are not going to be available.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
you're right.
pretty
if
much
they're
at my
going-
school, like no one's coming in that week.
Well, it's not. I mean, does the reference have to be in school? Like, if-
No,
No, it could be a
No.
phone call after hours, in
Exactly.
the evening, when it's convenient for both parties. Yeah.
I mean, just if we get the names sooner, we can schedule some time with them sooner. And if
Yep.
it's a genuine reference that's supportive, I'm sure they'll make time.
Yep.
Unless they're on
I
vacation.
can, when I'm talking to the candidates about the dates, I can also talk to them about getting reference information.
Excellent.
And it's only Tuesday. There might be a chance to do a few this week, actually.
Okay,
Oh, and maybe we
Maybe-
ask for like multiple teachers, multiple parents,
Oh, yeah.
multiple,
Yep.
right? So then the availability makes it a little bit easier for scheduling those calls for them.
Yep.
Okay.
all right, so to sort of summarize, we're going to do the interviews on the 5th, 6th, and 9th. We're going to take a vote after the interview on the 9th. Dorothy is going to get from the candidates scheduling and a list of potential references for us to talk to. Gabe and Josh and I will call as many of those references as possible and then put together a summary, which will be ultimately a public document or a public discussion if it comes to that, okay? We're going to move the January school committee meeting to a date to be determined at the moment. All right, am I missing anything?
So, no, Mary and I will then change a little bit of the dates on the press release. And Dorothy, we can share only their resume with the press release, correct? Okay.
Okay. All right, that all sounds good. Do any of the members have any other questions or concerns or things we ought to raise? Anything from the committee? Mary?
I would just need time for the meeting because I'd have to post those. I guess I could wait till the 3rd to post, but I'll be in over vacation week, so I could also
I
post
think
that.
we're talking 7 o'clock, I think.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else?
So who do we want to get together to make the schedule for the site visits?
Ah, that's true. Yep,
Can I work maybe with Mary and either Alice and Robin or one or the other?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, Alice, if you can join, I don't know what your schedule is like. I can definitely do it.
I can
Okay,
be
We'll
flexible.
figure out a time for 4 of us then.
and I
Yeah,
think
I
once
think-
you, I think once you would get a general agenda for the day, that can probably be adapted to all 3 candidates. too.
Yeah, generally you'd take the day and just replicate it
Yep,
3
yep.
times.
Okay.
Makes it easier for everyone.
Yes, yes, totally. All right, anyone else? All right, I think we're good. If things come up, you can communicate with Mary and I'll be in touch with Mary to, just see how things are going. And I guess the next step for most of us, Dorothy, is to just get those references from you and hear about which candidate will be coming which day. All right. And so I guess the last thing I would like to say is to thank the screening committee for all of their hard work and the administration. I know, you did a lot of nights out of the house, Mary, to be part of this, and we appreciate that. And Alice and Robin, terrific, terrific work. Glad to see us where we are at this point in time. Kudos to you both. Dorothy, thank you very much for being such a guiding hand for us. And I think we're going to end up with a really, really good candidate. So any other comments from the school committee? All right, if not, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, I've got to do this by poll. So Josh Kepnes, aye or nay?
Yeah.
Alice Campbell,
Yay.
Gabe,
Yay.
and Robin.
Aye.
All right.
Yay.
All right, it's a vote. I vote aye, of course. And I thank you all for your time. Thank you, Dorothy, for joining us. And going to be a busy couple of weeks, but everybody, please, take at least Christmas to have a wonderful day with your families. Oh, heck, take Christmas Eve too. And we hope that everybody in Danvers has wonderful holidays, however you celebrate, and has a peaceful day with your families. So thank you and good night.
Happy Hanukkah.